I'm the bad guy. Duh.
Hello, and I am back here in Phantom Zone for another great review. And today we will be talking about a wonderful film that I went to see. Today's review is going to be on The Gentleman, starring Matthew McConaughey, Colin Farrell, Hugh Grant. Just a ton of stars in this one. So let me just start off by I'm going to give you my overview, my pros, my cons, what I like about the film, what I don't like, and then my rating system from first 1 to 10, 1 being a pile of hot earth garbage, and 10 being the greatest thing your earth has produced. And then Zod approves or Zod disapproves. So, let's get started. The overview of this is a story about a series of events that happened that put two opposing mob forces against each other. Matthew McConaughey being the pot-dealing swagger of the Irish mafia, and the opposing Japanese mob, played by, I forget his name, but he's in a lot of stuff. I know the last name is Chang. I forgot the name, but he is in that one wedding movie that came out. You guys will know who he is when you see him. But so yes, this film pits these two opposing forces, and it's a series of events caused by outside forces within these mafias and inside forces that all collide to make the crazy, wacky events that we follow. So my pros is this. Let me start off by giving a short dissertation of Guy Ritchie, who directs this. Guy Ritchie is a very interesting director in the sense that I have a love-hate of his work. I love his earlier work, and I hate some of the later stuff he's done. Maybe a few things he's acted in, a few things that he's directed. Mainly Aladdin was a hot pile of trash. However, when he directs well, is a lot like a Quentin Tarantino, and that's the highest praise because Zod loves Quentin Tarantino. This movie is Snatch, like prime Guy Ritchie, okay? What can I say? The acting is solid. The performances are solid. Matthew McConaughey, Colin Farrell. All of these guys right in a row. Like, everybody in this movie acts tremendously, okay? The set pieces are simple, but it's very grounded and understated. There's some dramatic flair, but nothing over the top. It's funny. It's emotional at points. This movie hits a lot of different beats, and it has a scattered storyline that doesn't make sense till the very end, and they pull it off amazingly, because you could tell a stitched story like it does starts essentially at the middle to end of the movie and then goes back to the beginning and retraces the steps. And I think Guy Ritchie and Quentin Tarantino are one of those directors that can tell a story like this and have a payoff at the end and have it pull together. So, everything comes together nicely. Everyone's at the top of their game. Not one bad actor. No one hams it up. There's literally, even the woman in this, I forget her name, she's stunningly hot. Even her, she pulls it off. Like, everyone across the board just acts tremendously. Now, my cons, honestly, if I had to nitpick, a con I have, and I noticed this by normal moviegoers, is that you have to pay very close attention to this movie. If you go to the bathroom, you will miss something. Like, my girl went to the bathroom before the movie started and missed a critical 5-second scene before the title credits even rolled. And so it's one of those movies you have to watch. And I feel like moviegoers today have been so dumbed down that they can't understand the brilliance of having to track this story. And the great thing is if you stay with the story and you follow it, it all comes together. There is nothing that makes no sense by the end of this film. It really pulls itself together. And the ending is closed but may lead for a sequel if they so choose, and it could probably be done with it making sense. So I mean, all in all, this could stand alone, or if they wanted to, they could make a coherent sequel from certain events that happen towards the end of this film. So I mean, I'm really nitpicking, and I mean, sometimes the 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 language was a little excessive, a little overly done with the swearing. The C word flies around here like it's going out of style. And Zod, if you've been to my late night, I have no problem with cursing. But I do have a problem with habitually cursing because I feel like you can write sharp dialogue, have the cursing in there, but not have to overly go over the top. And maybe it's done on purpose, but tonal wise, sometimes it could turn people off. I think the biggest thing people have a problem with this movie is the fact that you have to pay close attention and the fact that there is gratuitous violence and lots of language. I think that will turn a lot of people away. It's a very brutal, especially the latter half. One particular scene disturbed my girlfriend. She had to walk out for a second, but nothing happens, but just the implication. And maybe that's the greatness of how this movie is shot, is that it really gets to you and it builds a heightened sense of tension, and then bam, something happens and there's payoff. There's build, and then payoff. And what more can you ask? So how do I feel? Zod approves. This baby gets a 10. I didn't even have to think about this. Any movie where I can go back multiple times, and I have seen this twice now, to really get a feeling of the movie, I think this is the kind of movie that I wouldn't say is in the vein of Joker, but it's a masterclass in action comedy. I mean, this goes back to the 80s feel, but it has that cheesiness, but updated and well acted to where, I mean, you feel the nostalgia, but there's better acting than would have been in the 80s. And it's amazing. Like, it balances all these things well. And Guy Ritchie, if you want me to stay committed to you, stick to doing this stuff. Leave those blockbusters alone. Do your own thing. 10, solid 10. Zod approves. Definitely go out and see this movie. If you've already seen The Gentleman, go ahead and leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think of the film. If you like the video, hit that like button. If you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe button. And as always, remember the one and only rule. Here in the Fandom Zone, kneel before General Zod.
I'm the bad guy. Duh.